Yeah, I don't think there's a need to delay any further. Let me just. Where's the tongue? Oh, no, stay here. There you go. So, programming today. In the afternoon. First things first, do I set up just a basic tongue? What we are going to do is just kind of recreate parts of a framework that I have on another project. Mostly because I am kind of unhappy with what went there. I need to remember. Oh yeah, I have two versions of the shit open. Let's see here. This. I need to set up the whole library tongue. I forgot how it is. No. Go over there. There you go. Nope. I don't know what the. Oh, I see. I double clicked it in there accidentally. Shit. All right. So I need to first set this here. Wait. What was the name of it? Assembly definition, right? Let me just name it the name of the folder. So that when we let's see if everything else is proper. Seems like it should be. It's basically so that when we change everything, every single bit of code that we change inside this folder is contained in a DLL with this name. So that when we are doing things in here, it only recompiles things here and some of the other things outside. But when things here are done and we are changing things outside, it doesn't recompile this, it recompiles only the other parts. It makes things very organized, but that reminds me that I might need some other things. Let me just commit some things here. Okay. I don't think I'll need the other Unity version open now, but I will need the project. Right? Yeah, I will need the project for sure. Yeah, I think the only thing that I needed in here was this, because the rest is just code. Yeah, this can be closed. That's no wonder we're just using 20 gigs. And I was wondering, why the fuck is he using 20 gigs of memory just because there's Unity and Rider open? Nope, it's because there's two Unity editors. But now, libraries, ECSX, all that, there we go, commits. Music should be fine. Now this, I will just do a tongue for a second. Oh, fuck's sake, mates. Where is the... no, we'll need to open source. Here. Another drive. And now this one. Just an open, new window. It's properly on my other monitor. There we go. Now we have everything set up. There we go. Right, so let me think now. We will need... Let me look at the previous... Jesus, there's like a bunch of code in this other library that I wrote. And I kinda fucked up after a while. Come on, fucking load everything. Is it that? Sheesh. Ryder does use a bunch of fucking... You know what? It's not going to need... Where is it? There's no option for this anymore? There's no fucking way. Am I crazy? Yeah, there's solution-wide analysis here. Where is the solution-wide analysis on the other one? Oh, it's still analyzing. Makes sense. 558 files. Doesn't need the analysis on this one. It only needs the analysis on this regular one. That should save processing power, memory, and some other shit. Jesus, 27 gigs. God damn, got it joking with myself. Ugh. Yeah, what was the other thing I was gonna do? Oh yeah, when the here, maybe this could help. Who knows? This remove. There we go. Yeah, should be fine. All right. Now over here. Over. See, there is this ECSX thing that shows up in here because of the assembly definition. It isolates. This is a separate DLL file. Very interesting. All right. I think this might be better to stay in the other window. And without this open, is it gonna close in here? Yes, it does. If I do something in one, it changes the other. What a fucking weird way to do things. Alright. Okay, if I recall correctly, I am going to need... We need the most important parts of... the most important parts of... ECS system, which is the entity IDs. I hate that Ryder doesn't recognize often ID if it's uppercased. We're going to do it in a simplified manner. With entity ID, we're just gonna get the value. No. No? Let me think properly. Oh, come on. Okay, well, this one I set as something else. Let's set it as value. I'm gonna use a U-long. Yep, that's exactly what I thought. But we're gonna get property. Works better. Having to handle other shit shit while shit is in the way is a pain in the ass. Okay, so the whole idea is that we'll have... I hate this libraries here. Properties, namespace provider. There it goes. Shut the fuck up now. There we go. So we'll simply have the ID. That's the most important part of the thing. We're gonna need some... How should I do this? I'm quite sure that I'm gonna use archetypes, that's for sure. But what else? Let me think. That is one of the issues that I have. I think way too much sometimes. Think less, do more. So the whole idea is that we'll have entities have entity IDs as well. But now that I think about it, this might be a weird name, entity ID, because it implies it's an entity. Yeah. Not all things will have an entity. What are you complaining? Yeah. Let's add this to the dictionary. Solution to charge. There it goes. Stops complaining now. Mostly because this is not going to be specifically just for entities. Entities will have an ID, but so will components. So the ID could be one thing or the other. Eventually we'll have separations for that with bit masks and shit, but for now it's just ID. An unsigned long to have 64 bits. So it works as a hash as well. Alright, let me think. Will require... Should I use a registry? How did I do it in the previous one? For components. I did it using interfaces because that's the best way to do. At least for this situation. And then identifiables. Interface for types to have a unique identifier. So I use the ID as a type ID, sure. I set the type ID using properties, okay. Well, the type IDs are static, which helps with it helps so that the problem is that, yeah, it's the bad idea, now that I think about it. Yeah, it's a bad idea. Component infos? No, but that feels weird. No, it's records, no. Yeah, at least for now. I'd rather have. God damn it, part of my keyboard is obscured by the fucking microphone. No interface. Component. It's mainly so that we have a separation between things. No, if I recall, Unity doesn't allow to have a static. The C# version Unity doesn't allow to have a static properties on interfaces. Yeah, it doesn't, as far as I recall. Okay, so it's easier to have component registries indeed. Because you can put it inside of the world objects and then register them separately, right? We need something also to handle the ID generation. I'm not happy with this. It's just, goddamn, I forget that the thing is in a separate tongue, in a separate window on a monitor that doesn't exist. Archetype. This is a simple one because it's gonna have, no, not a public one, right? It's a public could have issues. Unless it's no, if it's set red. No, it could be red only. Yeah. What the fuck? It could be red only without issues to the ECSX ID. An array of it. This is the components. I need the storage as well. Thing is, let's think. For now at least, we're gonna use read-only as well, dictionary, pass on the ECSX ID, and we just store a list of, no, the problem is that, yeah, a list of components. For now, it's gonna be highly non, this shouldn't be public. Because if I have access to it, it could bypass things, and that is a bad, bad idea. Very bad idea bypassing this. Should be private for now. If it bypasses things, it's gonna be problematic. It does this, right? What are you talking about? I see. Sure. Whatever you say, boss. So we'll need an archetype constructor when you construct the things, and we'll pass this is sex ID array to it. That will I don't like this. Not the naming. Yeah, I don't like the naming. I absolutely don't like the naming. Highly hazy. Because this could imply that we're passing the components to the thing, and it's not what we're doing. Component IDs, this one too. Component IDs. What else? We might need a reference for the world in here. I hate the word world. I'm very likely going to use another name. What the fuck is this? This is new. Oh, it's something for Unity. I don't recall seeing this. Sure. Let's do initial capacity of 32 possibly. That's good then. Okay, this one, I think a better idea. Can I initialize? Nah, I'll organize this later. I'm quite sure that I can initialize the dictionary to be fixed with rhyme. Can I pass a count to it? Oh, I just passed it automatically. Component IDs are linked. Yep, nice. Should work. Now this is identified as this doesn't fucking matter. For some reason I need to click twice for these things to work. Always assigned before being used, it can be converted into a local variable. What are you talking about? No, that's because it's only used here once, dumbass. Alright, this is a basic archetype. Very, very basic. See, I need to click twice. I don't know why. And it's not something specific to Rider, it's something that is happening on my Windows machine overall. Certain places I need to click twice for something to happen. That's possibly my mouse. Eventually we need to change it from dictionary to a better, more memory, like memory performance object, and so it's the list, but for now it should work. We don't need performance now, we need things to work. I just thought that storing iComponents might not be a good idea in the future, because when we implement relationships, because the relationships won't have, we could have a specific, no, that would be ass. We'll think about it. We won't need relationships right now, so it doesn't matter much. Because archetypes is a basic thing. Components are also IDs as well. You can start creating a basic world, but you But I don't want it to be named world. I want it to be named something else. Why the fuck are you trying to recreate the archetype again, dumbass? Think. It's literally the same fucking code. I don't like the word world. What could I use instead? Hmm. Instance, I don't like. Context is a little bit better. I think context is a good one. Scope, no. Registry doesn't make sense. Manager is entirely different thing. Context, I think. Yeah, it's the context in which you. Yeah, context. Context is better than world. World implies something that it isn't sometimes. What the fuck is going on? So I have the context. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to store archetypes like that. I think it's going bonkers. Right? Does it make sense to do that? That would imply that an archetype is an entity as well. Right? Which would mean that eventually I could. That just makes my mind go wild. Because I could eventually use it to place archetypes as components, and that's just a whole can of worms. Do I need it though? It doesn't make sense. Hmm. That's great. Just yeah, it's gonna be an object, that's for sure. It's just yeah, this starts as 0, so there shouldn't be a problem. But why is this? Well, oh, I see. It's because it's calling it as if it was as if it was what's her name? Shit. As if it was I forgot the name. As if you had a constructor. I think this should be enough. Right? I always forget how to do the. Yeah, this one. There we go. That's what I always forget. Wait a second, but this this doesn't increase in the last ID, does it? I don't think it does, right? What? This just grabs the last ID and increases the value and just assigns the value, but it doesn't increase the last ID. Does it? I mean, as far as I recall, it shouldn't. But it doesn't make sense that it should. Yeah, it shouldn't. So it should be something like last ID. This, I think it works. Yeah, this works. Then this. Yeah, that works. Yeah, this can be on read only. That'd be fine. Oh yeah, let me test something. How quick is the compilation? Because I remember it used to be considerably slow for some reason. Was it finished? I don't think it even started. Yeah, it seems like it finished. I used to have it installed on a regular hard drive and it was slow as fuck. Okay, this should work. As far as I know, this increases the last ID here. As far as I recall. Right? Ugh. But the problem is that I'm used to newer versions of. We just guarantee this. Mm-hmm. 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 I don't recall if it should. It should, right? Yeah, it should. I'm not crazy. I'm not batshit insane. It's the whole thing when you forget how to write a for or a while, and then just like, God damn it, now I have to fucking search how to write a for. I think that happens with every single programmer. There's not a single program in which that doesn't happen. I don't think generator is a good name. Manager. Because eventually this will be we'll use this to, what's the name? We'll use this to also, let me just change this as well. I don't like this. Because eventually there will be generations on the IDs, and the having a name generate feels weird. And since we have generations on it, it's better to do it through a manager than just like do it somewhere else. It's more centralized this way. And we can also have like properties to get what was the last ID and shit like that. Don't know if we'll be any use to this, but who knows. Okay, now for we'll need all a list of entities, right? A hash? The fuck? What was the name? It's not a hash. It's not set as well. This is set? Hash set. Yeah, that's the name. It's both. It's one and the other. Entities. Although at the same time, I don't like it. I think that over here on the archetype, I should remove the I component and change it to an object. And then later we can convert the components, but in the case, no, that is only when we get to relationships, otherwise it's premature optimization. Way too premature. Don't think they should be entities, they should be IDs, because not at all times they will be entities. Although it would be nice to have a list specific of entities, but don't think that will be needed for now. Now we need a location to store the archetypes. I think why don't we do like this? And then we keep everything with ID related to this, because it's a manager, you know. And then we can only have this in there. And then we have a public class, so the rename archetype manager. So we have things that are more separated. I could use also hash sets. If I use the values of the component IDs combined together as a hash. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Oh, I see. I understand why this. I dislike it, but I understand why. If we don't use an array, for example, and use just the ECSX ID, it would allow us for fast searches through the archetypes. For example, we could just go, which archetype has this tongue? But the problem is that it would have to be the opposite. It would have to be ECSX ID and then archetypes as lists. But that is not optimal. Because it would have like way too many duplicated lists. Right? Yeah, it would have way too many duplicated things. That could be added later as a cache, but not for now. Although I don't get it, why you would recommend this? What would the benefits of an ECSX ID array be? It would be basically just passing the archetype directly. So it's more easy to just, for example, go here and then to generate codes. Possibly fucked up the thing because I need to click twice. And do equality, right? Using hash. Yeah, using this. What does it do? I guess the hash codes for the component IDs, but I'm quite sure. What would the hash code of an array be? It wouldn't be the values inside of the array, that's for sure. Yeah, that's definitely not it. Honestly, we would grab each of the component IDs in here and create a hash of the Yeah, it's what I thought. Yep. For hash. Let get a new hash codes. And then in here, no. We add this, and over here. Okay. That makes things considerably easier. Sure, it's read-only, but I mean, although if I put it as a property, it's not read-only, it just doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, let me just place the... It's fucking irking me. Place the privates on top of the publics. I don't know, that I think about it, should be the opposite, right? You don't put your privates on top of everything that is public, you put underneath, right? So, okay, now we can do this. We can get the generation member code. No, there's no need for this. The quality separate. Let's not put the quality interface. I hate that it places things on top instead of on the bottom. There's... Oh, it's just other the hash code makes sense. For a second, I thought it was calculating the hash code, but it shouldn't. Okay, all shite. Let me just see one thing. If I just format and clean up, not the whole solution, just the file. Does it move things better? It does. Great. And it places the privates in between, sandwiched in between the... Ugh, I just like this. Is there a location where I can change the rules for this? Yeah, it's basically here. No, it's not. I have to look into that later. But it irks me. Although, let's leave it there. Fuck. I hate how it's just spaced in here and here, but not in here. And why is the public count in the bottom and in between? Is it just organizing first the lists and arrays and then later the values? Don't know. So this should allow us to basically learn how to write. Read down set archetype. There we go. So that works now. Cleanly in a manner that we know it will work. So as long as we pass the hash codes of the archetype to the archetype manager, can directly get it on a O1 operation. Can write for me a get. Getter creates better than nothing, I guess. Okay, for each more archetype and archetypes, don't think that's correct. Yeah, this is highly wrong. Absolutely wrong. Stupidly wrong. Also, should I have a getter create or should I have just a get? No, getter create is correct. Although we'll need a for each there. No. We'll use two. No, it's not that. And it doesn't need to be. Yeah, this can be private. And get the hash. Very likely that this is Mhm. Yeah, this will be needed. There's no doubt in this. And there's no reason to store, for example, an object of this because it is a struct. It's going to be recreated uh, as it needs, and it's just not going to use that much space. But we won't be needing, for sure, a getter create. That is 100% not needed. But now, let me think. Sometimes this thing does some very weird. Let's see. Let me just check something else here quite quick. It's my phone. There it is. Okay, but because the thing is, most of the time we'll be needing we need to implement the queries as well. And the queries we require think, motherfucker, think. God damn it. My brain sometimes. I'm trying to think way too ahead. I think that's the problem. Indeed, having a component here is a bad idea. That's 100% guarantee. But for now, I don't know 100% how we'll be getting the archetypes for now. It will depend a lot on how I'm going to implement the queries. The problem with most of the things in ECS is that, as a whole, in general, there are very specific methods and some ways to do certain things that are proven true to be the best ones. The problem is that there is some libraries that do these things and some other libraries that don't do it. And my pet peeve with using libraries for that is the fact that I consider certain things to be better than others. And there are certain... See, now it works on a single click. There are certain things that I don't like, and most of the libraries have at least one or two things that I dislike. For example, there's the Flex library. It's a very good library. I think it's one of the best performant ones in ECS. But it is done in C++ and that's why it performs well. And if you're gonna use for C# or something like that, you have to use wrappers. I fucking dislike wrappers. Mostly because I can change shits in them. Um, so these are not enough for it to work. This is enough to get the hash codes quickly, so I can get the things from here. Maybe let's go into queries. Maybe that's what is needed, is missing, so that we can better implement the way it's gonna get the tongue. Hmm. So we're gonna have the archetypes in hash set, sure. We're gonna get the hashes from the tongues, although it seems... Let me see. I'd rather have as much type safety as possible. So indeed, using I components would be, even though it seems like it's a bad idea, would be better. How did I do my previous framework? I did with the type identifiables, which are a very interesting class. There was properties, static properties on interfaces, which are not really static properties, but they behave as if they were. Oh, I see. Oh, I get it. If you turn the analysis off, it doesn't show the usages and shit. That's... Didn't expect it to depend on the analysis. Errors and files. Oh yeah, because I didn't finish most of the things. Where is the error there? On the core? Sheesh. Oh, I see. I started changing things to work in a separate thing. Makes sense why it's all fucked. Okay, the way I did it. Although the problem is that the way I did it there, I used component pools, which wouldn't exactly be ideal. I used archetypes wrongly in there. Oh, there's component bases. it uses things, duplicates. I see you got caches and shit. That was interesting. That was a very interesting way of doing things. The problem with that is that I could circumvent that by using company types. Component type, which is a hash code as well, right? Because types are hash coded. I need also to take into consideration that most of these things need to be mod friendly. They should be as typed as possible, but not that much typed. Although you could always gather the mod they want to reference to. Wouldn't be a problem, I think. Think, motherfucker, think. It's weird how it really depends on the analyzer. I'm thinking these things in the wrong manner. I'm quite sure about it. I know what next. We need something to... Yep, it's basically this. We pass the ID, it enters in there, gets the tongue. It shouldn't be a problem if you think. No, that's incorrect. Well, no, this is right. But there is something missing. The list of entities that are in this archetype, that is clearly missing. Because this, for example, this is the component ID. And it gets a list of the components. Yeah, that is incorrect. So we need a method to link. I recall the polls that I had. How did I do it on them? But then on polls it's different because on a poll you have just the type in the component. That's it. Over here is different. Ah, my brain. I'm way more used with component pools. But they are weird. I'd rather change things to be archetypes. But I have to rethink how they work internally. Since I'm not used to them. What I dislike about archetypes is the fact that if I store, for example, the components in arrays, the arrays always always need to have the exact same size. For example, I have 10. Now that I think about it, it shouldn't be a problem. While it also is a problem. Hmm. Think. The way I'm doing this component storage is wrong. That's the problem. I don't think properly. The archetype has the types, the ID types of the components that are in this one. So this is fixed, never changes, never moves throughout the lifetime of the object. This is always fixed. What we need now is a list of the entities that are assigned to this archetype. But this list should allow us to also get the components that are assigned to it. In a manner it's easier to iterate between them. This is fucking my brain up. Problematic. Mostly because I know what is the correct implementation. Thing is, I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it in a manner that makes more sense mentally. It's one of the reasons why I like component pools, because component pools can have exactly just the amount of components and space that you need. But then there's all the problems I have with it. Oh, thanks. I think I understand that. We're gonna have private as well. It can't be read only because it needs to be reassigned now and then. ECSX ID array. Identity IDs. It doesn't match. We'll keep stack as well, I guess. Is it a stack? I think it's a stack, right? Let me just check. Forgot to open Brave. Just checking some things on fucking DaVinci. It's a stack, right? A stint for stats. Yep, it's a stack. A stack of what? A stack of ints, because it's indexes. Which could be improved later. 3 slots, exactly. He knows the good stuff. Oh, this song is nice. I need to populate. Otherwise, shit's not gonna work out. I deleted one of the tongues, right? No. Well? Well? Wait, what? There's something wrong. Yeah, that's odd. It's blazing. The problem is that I can't even sync the fucking thing, because if I do, it's gonna be unsynced as fuck, because I kind of took the time to try and sync partially the... I need to properly try and fix this later in the future. I don't know. Because of all of the plugins and all the things that I use. This could be... No, no, it won't be a problem. Because thing is... No, it will be a problem. Because we're not going to be updating this all the fucking time, because if we do, it's a problem. No, I don't think it is. Or, for example, presume we remove one of the entity IDs from this thing because it was moved to another archetype. Sure. As we remove a slot, is freed and sent to the stack. I guess a stack of free slots. Isn't there a manner for me to populate this without having to, by using like this, something like that, right? Wasn't there a thing like this? Like this, for example, 32? That's quite, I think it's, I think it does, it just doesn't work on fucking, on the version of C# that we're using. I'm quite sure that that can be done. No, we can't. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. C# range. I'm quite sure this is a thing. No, this is indexing from opposite sides. It's in the, because I would refer to this section of sequence like areas where we can extract the range of act range assignment 25% resistant. Support using the operator. Ah, I see. It allows you to remove a sub range, but doesn't allow you to assign a range. But I'm quite sure that this is a thing. Although it might be a new thing, but still. Yeah, apparently it's just for getting the values, but not assigning. But I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I know that this is a thing. Let me see. No, this is gonna be capacity. Can I do like this? Maybe like this. Hmm. 12 or greater, yeah. Let me see. It's called collection expression then. Yeah, this is. Is it alt space? No, it's alt enter. No. What is the tongue? It's control space? Yeah. Although not really. There is an innumerable lens collection. What if we do this? Let me just... It's basically just a text test. I want to see... When will the thing will go just, hey, you can do this in a better manner, you dumbass. Ugh. I have to do it like this. Which I absolutely think it's atrocious as fuck. Absolutely stupid. Fuck. I don't see another method to do. And then when we add we add an entity to it, it will grab this slot from here and push it in there. But the problem with this is that it is going to make queries shit because it's assigning from the beginning to the end. Can I invert this? Can I easily invert this now? I can, though. I can try and do this. Initial capacity thing. And then let's see what it gives. Yeah, that's what I want. Right? Wait, the stack is first thing what? First thing last out or something, right? Last in, first out. So yeah, it needs to be like this because 0 is going to be the last one in here. And since it's the last one, isn't there a queue or something like that? Which is the opposite? First in, first out or something? First in, first out. So if I pass in the other manner, it would be better. It would be from 0 to the capacity because the first one would always be 0. And let's say that there's a query. And the query is gonna get the list of the things and just gonna go. No, it doesn't need to. Because the only thing that needs to check is in here. It only needs to check which one of the entity IDs are assigned and it's not like equal to 0 or something like that. Which, mind you, we need to do it. Max value? I don't know. I think 0 is the best option. Minimal value. Let's not use invalid. Let's use null. Nope. So that's... we compare when we're looking into like removing values on the archetype, like for example on a query, and the query is just going through the array. It's like iterating through the array when it reaches one of the values that is, because for example, every single time that I remove, although this is something that we can test later and see which one is better and which one is worse. And I'm quite sure that there's a specific difference into which if it's smaller, there's barely any difference, but if it's bigger, there's a huge difference. For example, we either will keep the free slots things, and as we get free slots, we put in there, and when we iterate on queries, we pass through the components, the array, and we just like next, go to the next value, the next index, and then we check first if the index is valid or if it's null. So if it's null, we let's do this as well. This, because it will all be null. It's guaranteed for it all to be null. And only when we have 0 free slots, when we are adding a thing, we just do the whole, hey, let's increase the values of everything. Which is mostly going to be just this one and these ones. Increase the sizes of it. And now the component IDs stay the same. I forgot about that. Ooh, although being read-only is a problem now that I think about it, because if the array is read-only, we can't assign to the array, but we can change the values. We can change the values of the component IDs. That's a problem. We can just like grab index 0 and then put something in it, and it's gonna be ass. It's gonna cause severe issues. Anyway, I'm getting hungry. I need to eat something. Eat the fish. I'm gonna just put on the, where's it done? OBS scenes, let's go to the, be right back. And I'm gonna go eat something. I don't know how long it will take. Possibly 20 minutes or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Just a sec. Which might be 20 minutes or something. Or maybe even more. I'm going to return eventually. I'm going.